Hi, it's Glenn Dietzel here, and welcome to another Business Breakthrough Google Hangout. And what I decided to do on this Business Breakthrough Google Hangout is to interview another one of our clients. Much like I did last week with Linda Schwader, I'm going to introduce to you today Kenneth Lee, and Kenneth is our special mystery guest. Kenneth literally invested in Omega Mind just a few days before he actually came to the very first 3-day business intensive that we just recently did at the Canadian Lake Home. So I'm going to ask Kenneth some deep probing questions. You're going to benefit a lot, so you're going to want to have a pen ready. You're going to want to take some notes because I want you to listen carefully to what he has to say about the questions that I'm asking, because it's going to bring out some really critical points for you to start examining your own business around how you're positioning yourself as a trusted advisor in a day and age where there is so much overwhelm and people are not sure who to trust. At the end of the day, people do want to trust somebody, right? And you need to be that person. So I want to ask some hard-hitting questions from Kenneth, like why in the world, when he's one of the questions I'll be asking him, why in the world would he invest in a high-end program and service when there's just so much free information online today? And some other deep and penetrating questions, and I want you to listen carefully to his answers. And it's also a check on myself too, right? It's really good for me to interview my own clients, especially when they're just new into the program, because you're going to meet Kenneth on his journey, and most importantly, you might meet Kenneth if you're lucky enough to be vetted successfully for one of our programs. And all of our clients meet each other. They get an opportunity to support each other and assist each other using some pretty cool accelerated business systems and accelerated teaching and learning programs that we give to all of our clients to help them close deals a whole lot faster and stop with the pain and the frustration. I just spoke to a couple of people today, one of them in particular, who talked to me about, Glenn, I have so many leads, and it's interesting, he said, leads, building leads is really, really easy. He said, converting the leads is what's so difficult, and that's the truth. If you follow what I'm teaching you, building not just any leads, but the right kind of leads who want to invest in your highest end programs and services is going to our program, and the program that Kenneth invested in, Omega Mind, will make that a certainty for you. So without further ado, Kenneth Lee, are you there?
I'm here, Glenn.
Yeah, welcome, Kenneth, and thank you for that, for availing your time. I know you're a father, you're a husband, you've got a busy consulting business, and now you want to take what you're doing and grow it as an entrepreneur in a whole different fashion. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. So, Kenneth, let's start with your background. Just share with us, your background in terms of, you know, where where do you come from, and speak to us from that angle.
Sure, no problem. I've actually spent the past 17 years being a computer systems engineer and a web branding strategist. So I've been kind of like the secret behind-the-scenes architect, helping big companies design end-to-end web projects and online branding campaigns. I guess my clients are including like companies like Tom Warner, Discovery Communications, American Express, and I guess I've done a lot with different startups as well, different local brick and mortar businesses too, just helping them with the same thing, just getting their branding strategy, their web strategy, online strategy, and just how to use that to propel them into more business growth.
Kenneth, how did you first hear about me online and about our company?
It's actually a funny story. It was just Googling. I kind of stumbled on you because I was already at that time, and this was actually pretty recent. I was actually involved in a different coaching program, and I was actually just very, very frustrated with that coaching program. It promised a lot, and just the lack of clear direction um, made me start Googling for more answers because I wasn't getting it from that program. So I was just Googling around, and I happened to come across you and your YouTube videos, and just the different information that you were sharing through your YouTube videos, and just started watching all of them pretty much, and that's how I got acquainted with you.
So I'm going to ask you a pretty pointed question, and I
Sure.
already had mentioned this question before, but with so much free information online,
Yep.
why would you ever invest in a high-end program like you did with Omega Mind?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I've I've been entrepreneurial for a huge part of my life, and I've digested so much information about business and marketing that I really, at this point in life, I got to the point where I really understood that the only way that I was going to really accelerate my own success, instead of just muddling through piles and piles of training, free training, free information that was out there. The only way for me to really accelerate my success was going to be to find a direct mentor, someone who really walked the path that I wanted to walk and who was already doing it successfully. So that's why I made the decision to join a Megamind, because from everything that I heard from you, that's actually exactly what I found in you, and I knew that's just what I had to do.
Let's delve into the mind of Kenneth Lee just for a second here.
Sure.
Just talk to everybody about how you made the decision to invest. So let's go there for a few moments and
Sure.
delve into how your brain was processing what you were doing at that time.
Honestly, it was scary. It was a really scary leap. As much as I had my own dreams and my own goals, um, investing into a Megamind was a big leap of it was a leap of faith in myself. Um, but I think I got to the point where I just I had to realize that the goals and dreams that I wanted um, to get to, in order for me to get there faster, I was just going to have to step out of my comfort zone. And so that's when I just said, it's either this, it's either Omega Mine, or I just continue to muddle along and try to figure things out myself. And so that's when I figured out I just had to take the leap.
What were your biggest aha moments um, in going and taking a look at what we do online and some of the proprietary educational systems that you went through or consumed?
I think when I started, when I started, consuming your videos, I think what I realized is that there actually was a whole different, there was a different paradigm to doing things, to accelerating your success that I actually had never really heard before. I'd, just been really used to the normal kind of business strategies, and I think my biggest aha moments were that there were there were shortcuts to accelerating your success. That there were actually some really key elements that weren't commonly known or talked about. And these were actually things that you started sharing in your videos, and for me it was actually a really big eye opener, because I never thought about things in that way, because they were pretty counterintuitive, honestly. Um, yeah, they're just really counterintuitive, and it was a real eye opener for me, and it just really shifted my paradigm.
Tell everybody what it was like for you to walk into the doors for the very first time of the Canadian Lake Home.
Uh, it was very cool. Um, yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I just saw some pictures, but it was a very quiet and secluded place. It was like a real private, high-end retreat. Walking into like your own resort home, pretty much. And no, I was just really excited as I walked up the driveway to go inside. And I think once I got inside, um, of course it's a great, you have a great lake home, and I think inside it was a group of people actually that you had assembled, that I think really also shaped the experience, because sometimes you can walk into things like that, and maybe it can still be really cold. But I think what you've created is a very warm and open environment. I mean, the group of people that are in Omega Mind are just they're super welcoming. They're very warm, very authentic, very honest people. So definitely have to give you credit for putting together that group. And no, it was great just experiencing it for the first time.
And as a side note, we've been teaching, and Kenneth, I want you're experiencing the power of having a vetting process. So you
Yeah.
bring the kinds of people together that you want to work with.
Right.
And I see so many entrepreneurs today struggling uh, because they're working with the wrong kind of people. So that's
Right.
why it's very important to have an application process and use it. Um, discuss your experiences that you had during the 3-day intensive at the Canadian Lake Home.
Sure. Well, first of all, of course, the teaching was great, and but I think the thing that really stuck out for me with my experience being there for the first time, it really is it's the shared collective wisdom of the group that was there. And I think it was just, again, a credit to Glenn for assembling this type of group. But everybody was just so, it was like the collective experience that everybody had and just the openness that people had in terms of wanting to help each other. So, of course, we gave each other a lot of tough love, but it was all done, with the heart of really trying to help each other. And I think that that's something I never really experienced before. It was just that you could assemble that kind of group of people and just have everybody being that like-minded and that open and that willing and honestly willing to help each other succeed.
I'm going to ask another probing question, if you will.
Sure.
What in your mind, and this is for my feedback as
Hmm.
well, but what in your mind makes Omega Mind different than any other high-end program that you've ever invested in?
I think, honestly, okay, so two things come to mind. First, that you really focus on the core essentials that you need to succeed. Like the other, for example, like a lot of the other coaching programs that I've been in, they throw so many like, well, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, and it's just this whole data dump, but they never help you clarify what you actually need to do. What's the steps you actually need to take to achieve this goal. So that's one of the big differences that I actually found. Is just that you've gotten it down to the essential elements, and you really walk us through it. So another thing that's different is actually that you honestly really care about helping us execute and succeed. You really, yeah, I mean, you really, I can see where your heart is. You really want us to take the right action and take action fast and get results. And so instead of just data dumping on us, you are there with the Omega Mind members, really trying to make sure we execute. And that's been really different. I've never had a coaching program or a coach who, I guess, really genuinely did that to the degree that you do.
What would you what stands out, or what would you make what would your recommendations be for our viewers right now, and helping them understand the importance of being a trusted advisor in the advisory age in which we live?
Yeah, see, that was actually something that I really had to, that was an eye-opener for me, because while I've been doing a lot of high-end consulting, I never really got exactly how to frame being a trusted advisor. So one thing I've really learned from you is just that you have to, it's all about how you frame your advice. It's how you frame the whole context of what you're sharing, and shaping the paradigm that people are seeing. So what I've learned is that if you build the right context and you frame your advice properly, people get it. like you don't even have to hard sell it because you framed your information and your advice and your consulting in such a way that people get it. And I'm sure that, as people start walking with you, they'll start to learn the difference between inductive and deductive ways of framing it, and those are actually really powerful concepts, and that really shaped how I look at things.
Uh, why don't you share with us right now how you are executing in business
Yep.
in ways that you never dreamed of doing just before you came to the 3-day Omega Mind Intensive?
It's been, well, I mean, it's been amazing. Um, because I think the difference is now I have just a lot of clarity. Like I know what I need to do. From your trainings, from the feedback from the other Omega Mind members, like I know what I need to do now. And so, I've only been in Omega Mind only for 3 weeks or so, but the difference between that and comparing to where I was even like a couple months back, um, I I'm executing as if I don't feel I'm not stuck anymore, basically. So right now what I'm able to do after being in Omega Mind is really just move forward really quickly. So I'm already putting together a lot of materials the way that Glenn has coached me to do, in Omega Mind, and yeah, just things are clear. There's no real like I don't really have to think about it. Should I do this? Should I do this? I'm just doing now and just getting pieces in place and moving forward faster than I have before.
You're following our intensive model, right?
Yep.
Among many systems that we teach our clients, and you've got your own intensive coming up in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something wow, I mean that's actually something I didn't even see like a couple months ago, but now it's just like everything's just zooming fast into focus. And so again, yeah, your 1-day intensive model, I'm really moving forward fast on that. I just booked a location, and yeah, I'm excited. It's,
What
it's
does what does your wife see as the number one difference about you since you've been a part of Omega Mind, Kenneth?
Sure, great question. Well, she's definitely seen me through many ventures. She's seen how I get started, um, get kind of boggled down, push through different obstacles. But I think in this case, I think the difference that she's seen is that there's just a lot more, definitely a lot more clarity of execution. I've been much more focused. I mean, she's noticed that I've been much more focused, much more determined, and frankly, she's been very relieved,
Yeah.
um, that there's a definite sense of clarity and purpose, I guess, that is different than before in my previous ventures.
What would you recommend to our viewers right now as their first actionable step that you would recommend that they take?
You mean in considering Omega Mind?
No, maybe. But I wasn't even thinking of that. I mean, what would you
Sure.
recommend? That our viewers, what would be the recommendation you would make to them in terms of a next step or an actionable step that they take right now, maybe to build clarity, to get more decisive about making a quantum leap within their own business and in their own life?
I guess speaking from a next step, I I'll speak from where I was, and I think what I had to do for a next step is, I guess I had to make the decision to really stop just kind of fooling around. I needed to figure out exactly where I wanted to be, what my goals were, and where I wanted to end up, because frankly, time is passing really quickly, and I think as the years passed for me, I just really had to take an honest look at myself, um, and what I wanted to do and where I want to go, what I want to accomplish. Um, so those are, I guess that's my recommendation for a next step, but it's more an inward looking kind of next step. Was there something, I guess, a different? Um,
So okay, and so let me just think through that here for a few minutes.
sure.
One of our speed to market principles is that he or she who self-reflects the greatest controls marketplaces.
Yeah.
So, what would you recommend to our viewers in terms of getting clarity on where they want to go in business?
Mm. Um, yeah, self-reflection. It's been really key. I think I think there's so many different. For example, for my speaking again from my perspective,
Absolutely, from yourself.
yeah,
That's what I want.
it, there's so many paths to business. I mean, there's so many ways to success out there, and not every path is sold as kind of like the answer for everybody, but it's actually not. So so what I had to do as a next step was get really clear on who I was, self-reflect on who I was, where my strengths are, what my passions are, and really get real about that instead of just jumping from program to program to program, thinking this the next thing was going to be the key. So getting very clear about myself and who I want to be and where I want to go.
You are a father. Um, what's the what is it that you want to teach your girls?
Uh, yeah, no, I think about that a lot, and I think even I want to teach them. I want to teach them how to be self-reliant. Uh, I don't want them to grow up having to think that um, they have to follow a path that society tells them they have to necessarily follow. That they can actually find their dream and actually pursue it. And this is actually a big thing. I really want to model for them what I'm doing so that they learn and take it into their lives as they grow. I mean, they're really young right now, but I hope that from what I'm learning right now and the experiences that I go through, it paints a model for them, a clear picture of what's actually possible, like what potential you actually have out there instead of just following the normal traditional, going 9 to 5 and following that route. You can actually there's so much more you could do, and my hope out of doing all of this, for my own businesses, of course I want the success, but at the same time, definitely to show them and model for them that they can actually make their dreams happen.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember when I was in your position and I was in education and teaching. I was a vice principal, and I remember that having the same thought patterns. My boys were very young. They were they'd be 5 and 6, and I just thought, you know what, I want to be able to model for my kids, not just tell them what I would, about success and what I think success is, but I wanted to model for them not just my interpretation of success, but the vehicle that can bring them success. And that's
Right.
why we say that your twin tickets to freedom are sales and marketing, and understanding how to become self-reliant on, just playing big. You kind of alluded to it a few minutes ago, that about your own decision-making process, and it was time to play big and stop playing a small game, because when you play a small game, or when you play it what you think is playing it safe, it's really just killing your business momentum today. And that's why so it was that kind of vehicle to freedom that was outside of what I was doing at that time, and that was following other people's dreams for my life and moving up the corporate ladder in education, and you know becoming the youngest superintendent in education, the youngest director in education, which is what everybody had me doing, but I didn't have myself really doing that. And it came, I found myself kind of pinned to the wall, if you will, and trying to fight back. So, uh, Kenneth, I want to salute you on your ability to make fast decisions, um, and doing it when it certainly doesn't feel 100% comfortable. Nothing ever does. I mean, if success were always feeling comfortable about everything you do, most people would never take any kind of action. I know I wouldn't. And so there's got to be a bigger vision that all of you that are watching this today have, that you're going after. And it's my privilege and opportunity to interview some of our newer Omega Mind clients, literally, just literally came into the program, pick their brains as to what the program's been like so far, and let them share their hopes and dreams, especially in light of all the different programs that so many of our clients have invested in. And so, Kenneth Lee, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to bringing you back on later Google Hangouts and featuring your success prominently. Congratulations on the traction and momentum that you've already got on your one-day intensive, and understanding the whole new realities of how to create fast and swift momentum in the trusted advisory era. So a last-minute comment from you, Kenneth, before we sign off today.
Sure. Hey, I'm going to put in an honest plug for Glenn. But Omega Mind has definitely, yeah, I guess being part of it has really made a huge difference to my life. And I'm just thankful, actually, that Glenn had already started to assemble that kind of group, and that I'm glad well, more than glad. I'm super thankful that I actually stumbled onto it at the time that I did, and it's made all the difference to me in the world. So, yeah, I'm inspired and motivated, and given the tools to move forward, and it's exciting.
Yeah, and thank you, Kenneth. And to all of you that are watching right now, picture or imagine yourself having the same kind of clients as Linda Schwader and Kenneth Lee. And the reality is, in today's marketplace, it's never been easier to attract your ideal client. Why? Because you want to make sure that you follow one of our speed to market principles, and that is following the seam of success, doing what other people don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. That's a very powerful principle in life. And when you start focusing on that in a new way in business, focusing on what your competitors don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing, it can start really getting you excited about how to build massive momentum and growth for your company. So on behalf of the entire Awaken team, I want to salute all of you to going for your dreams right now in speed to market fashion. And from Kenneth Lee, thank you, Kenneth, for joining us today. And I look forward to our next Business Breakthrough Google Hangout, everyone.